A flight via Singapore is unavoidable to get to Hanoi. But there, in this fascinating Asian metropolis, our wonderful journey through Vietnam begins. The traffic in Hanoi takes some getting used to. We suspect that government prizes will be awarded for the most original way to cross an intersection with as many people as possible on one scooter. The concept of the wrong side of the road has therefore been deleted from the traffic regulations. A feast for the eye. Wherever you look, there is business in Hanoi. Most of it concerns food in all conceivable forms. The old center is one large, lively, pleasant market. Street vendors pile their wares on a cart or bicycle, and some have their goods piled in 2 wicker baskets. This way they can carry them over their shoulders with a bamboo stick. In addition, there are plenty of dining options along the road, on the sidewalk, or in a crack in the wall of a few square meters. The most fragrant and colorful dishes are baked, fried or stir-fried. Dynamic is even an understatement here. In the capital of Vietnam, our guide Pong, a cousin of Ping, takes us past the most famous sights. We start with a visit to the Tran Kok Pagoda, the oldest Buddhist temple in Hanoi. There's a lot of sacrifice in these places of worship. In addition to food, other earthly things such as money, but also a house or car made of paper, are entrusted to the dead. And on we go, to the bombastic mausoleum where the beloved former President Ho Chi Minh lies in state. His dead body is closely guarded by an elite army wearing white uniforms. At the end of the day, Pong thought it would be a nice idea to let us cycle through the city in a bicycle basket with a roof over it. And that was actually fun too. The temporary highlight of our stay in Hanoi is Train Street. A 4-meter wide street through which the 3-meter wide express train to Saigon passes several times a day. If you stay in your seat, the train passes just a few centimeters from your knees. Pong also saw the fun in that. In Halong Bay, we treat ourselves to a 3-day cruise with the Dragon's Pearl, a small, perky, white junk. We sail slowly through the surreal setting of a James Bond film, and we are impressed. The temperature is well above 30 degrees, but the sun is pleasantly filtered through the low clouds. The silence on the water, the slow movements and the delicious food on board provide a pleasant feeling. At the end of the group canoe trip along picturesque rock peaks and beautiful vistas, the captain treats us to a barbecue on the beach. Once the dinghy has been pushed off with combined efforts, the tables are festively laid by the entire crew and the charcoal fire is stoked.
Thank you very much.
An overnight stay in a homestay is on our program in Pulawong, a nature reserve west of Hanoi. In this case, it turns out to be a large, fully equipped luxury treehouse. We walk out of the village early in the morning with our cheerful guide Pong. Along the way, Pong points out special plants such as the touch-me-not, tells us about the water buffalo, and gives us a guest lecture on growing rice in the middle of the enormous rice fields. We learn that the rice basins are emptied every year after the harvest, restored and ploughed, and then refilled with fresh water. In the middle of the massive fields, we see little Vietnamese people with pointed heads everywhere, crouching and standing in a rice field with wet feet. Then we come across remarkable bamboo structures in the landscape. These ingenious water mills are designed to transport water to a higher field. They have been doing their useful work for hundreds of years. We say goodbye to Hanoi and take the night train to Hue. Now we ride through the eerily narrow train street ourselves. On the train we have reserved a compartment with 2 beds in which we can spend the night very well. There is a lot to see during this adventurous train journey.
1445. He quit the sea.
Our guide in Hue is Mrs. Nee. She takes us to the imperial citadel. They were not modest people, those emperors. They lived on a site with many main buildings and countless outbuildings. The main buildings were mainly for themselves, the outbuildings for their parents, staff, and the average of 150 wives.
Ok, để mọi người đi đi đi, tranh thủ nhá, xong cứ cậy có đèn được. Có người mà cậy có lên người. Trước đây. Bây giờ chị đang đi nha. Đang đi à? Cứ đang đi được.
Upon arrival in the lantern city of Hoi An, our new guide Emily is waiting for us. Emily is her stage name. Her real name is unpronounceable. A short boat trip takes us to the rice fields of Hoi An. On our bicycles, we first ride past some important peanut plantations. Uprooting and harvesting these groundnuts is entirely based on muscle power. With another boat, Emily takes us to the beginning of the South China Sea. There she arranged for a man to take us in his bathtub to the fishing net with which he and his wife earn their living.
More.
We attempt to pull the fishing net out of the water. This ingenious construction must be operated with hands and feet. The bamboo bathtubs appear to be a generally accepted means of sailing in this region. Our rowing driver paddles through the mangrove forest with great agility. Along the way, we see how a fisherman casts his net with great skill. Unfortunately, we are not the only ones on the water today. A group of noisy Korean tourists brought large loudspeakers with them to keep the silence down. A top dancing demonstration by the local lifeguard is popular with the Koreans. From Da Nang you fly in an hour and a half to the metropolis of Saigon, our next stop. From the Sanuva hotel where we are staying, we leave early in the morning for the delta of the Mekong River, one of the longest rivers in the world. That's where our 3 days cruise begins. The delta consists of hundreds of small rivers. We sail relaxed on our luxury junk towards the world-famous floating market. Life on board is relaxed. The food and drinks are excellent. At some bridges, the captain has to come up with a trick to be able to sail under them. Finally, we arrive at the impressive floating market. There is a lively trade in vegetables, fruit, coconuts, fish, and basically everything else. Thousands of small floating companies try to sell some of their merchandise to everyone and everything. Tea, coconuts and soft drinks are particularly popular. The floating shops hang an example of their core business on a long stick on their vessels.
Alright, let's go. Next couple, next sampan.
Suddenly a trip with a sampan is on the agenda. A number of those slender Asian boats are waiting among the water hyacinths. Barefoot adult rowers take us through a creek teeming with crickets. After this special experience, we return via the ferry to our yunk. Back in Saigon, a show band plays in front of the station. The percussionist is called Ching Boom, and this musician lives up to his name. Once again, we stroll straight through one of the many covered market halls. We love it. No is not for sale here. The most wonderful smells forcefully enter our noses, and we willingly succumb to a crunchy snack with a freshly squeezed juice. Early in the evening, we are picked up for a food tour through the city center. Two helmeted guys take us on the back of their scooter to the most authentic places. We taste delicate, freshly made products that are stir-fried on the street. Throughout the center, people are dining on toddler chairs. It was not on the program, but still, while eating a delicious bowl of traditionally prepared coconut ice cream, we are treated to a grown-up Vietnamese cloudburst. To conclude this tour, the two helmets push us into a disco. There, the locally famous live band makes any conversation impossible. We come out here at the first opportunity with our ears ringing. The next morning, tired, we get into a taxi that takes us to Pan Thit. The journey takes no less than 4 hours. We check in at the Pandana resort. Here we have access to several swimming pools, restaurants and a huge private beach. It's nice that we can catch our breath here during our last days in Vietnam. We borrow bicycles from the resort on our last day and pedal into the village. There's no harbour in Pan Thit, but hundreds of festively colored bathtub boats of the local fishermen float off the coast. After a few wonderfully quiet days, we suddenly find ourselves back at Saigon airport with our suitcases. At night we fly back to Frankfurt via Doha. Vietnam is firmly in the top 3 of our most beautiful trips.